Okay, I want to go over this Federal Reserve Act. Just the two parts, Section 16, parts 1 and 2. I'm gonna show y'all something. This is gonna really help y'all a lot. It's gonna help all of us a lot. And this is pretty much, it's lifting the skirts up on a lot of these companies, all of the companies, really, all of them, including child support. Think about this. According to the Federal Reserve Act, Section 16, all of these banks are required. They are the only ones that's entitled. They're the only ones that has the authority to actually cash in, to receive Federal Reserve notes on behalf of the United States citizens. Okay, United States citizens are the straw man. Okay, the all caps name, the legis, the estate that you're operating with. Keep in mind, people are not the U.S. citizens. The entity, the estate that was created, the name, that is the all caps name, that is the name of your estate. Okay? I'm going to start off with this right here. Wherever the word bank, this is what it starts off in Section 1, where it says short title, the definitions. I'm going to show you this once I read it. Wherever the word bank is used in this act, the word shall be held to include state bank, banking association, and trust company, except where national banks or Federal Reserve banks are specifically referred to. Okay? For purposes of this act, the state bank includes any bank which is operating under the code of law for the District of Columbia. I'll show y'all that. Don't y'all mind my stuff back there on my little bean bag. I got some stuff, so mind your business. Right here, this is the Federal Reserve Act. This is the web page. You can look this up yourself. If you type Federal Reserve Act, Section 16, and you'll get what I'm talking about. But this is the whole thing right here. But this is Section 1 that I'm just reading. And this is what I just read, the definition of bank right here. Okay? You can actually find this yourself. I'm gonna, if you want to pause this video so you can go and find this and go along, and I can get back on myself so I can let you know. Do that yourself. But I want y'all to follow me on this here. I'm also gonna read right here where it says, right number 3. I read number 2 just then. I'm gonna read number 3. It says definitions of other terms. And it says the term national bank and national banking association used in this act shall be held to be synonymous with and interchangeable. Say they should be synonymous and interchangeable. The term member bank shall be held to mean any national bank, state bank, or bank or trust company which has become a member of one of the Federal Reserve, one of the reserve banks created by this act. The term board shall be held to mean Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System. The term district shall be held to mean Federal Reserve District. The term the term Reserve Bank shall be held to mean Federal Reserve Bank. The term Continental United States means the states of the United States and the District of Columbia. Okay, now I'm gonna go scroll on down here to Section 16. If you're following me while I'm reading this, you'll see where I'm actually showing. I'm on the left side right here, clicking down to Section 16, and I'm gonna read this. Now, the Federal Reserve notes. They say Federal Reserve notes to be issued at the discretion of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System for the purpose of making advances to Federal Reserve banks through the Federal Reserve agents as hereinafter set forth, and for no other purpose, and say are hereby authorized. Okay. And see, the said notes shall be the obligations of the United States and shall be receivable by all national and member banks and Federal Reserve banks, and for all taxes, customs, and other public dues. They shall redeem in lawful money. Say they shall be redeemed in lawful money on demand at the Treasury Department of the United States, in the city of Washington, District of Columbia, or at any Federal Reserve Bank. That's section 16, part 1. Part 2. It's entitled Application for Notes by Federal Reserve Banks. Now it says any Federal Reserve Bank may make application to the local Federal Reserve agent for such amount of the Federal Reserve notes hereinafter provided for as it may require. Let you know they turn their applications in. They can apply for Federal Reserve notes. That's what the Federal Reserve banks are able to do. They may make application to the local Federal Reserve agent for such amount of the Federal Reserve notes hereinafter provided as it may require. Such application may be accompanied with a tender to the local Federal Reserve agent of collateral in the amount equal to the sum of the Federal Reserve notes thus applied for and issued pursuant to such application. The collateral security, thus offered shall be notes, drafts, bills of exchange, or acceptances acquired under Section 10A, 10B, 13, or 13A of this Act, or bills of exchange endorsed by a member bank of any Federal Reserve District and purchased under the provisions of Section 14 of this Act, or bankers' acceptances purchased under the provisions of this of the said section of said Section 14, or gold certificates, or special drawing rights certificates, or any obligations which are direct obligations of, or are fully guaranteed as to principal and interest by the United States or any agency thereof, or assets that Federal Reserve banks may purchase or hold under Section 14 of this Act, or any other asset of the Federal Reserve Bank. I know that was kind of lengthy, but as you see in the very beginning right here, they were basically, it referenced, as you heard, if you wouldn't follow me, right here was it refers to, say, the collateral security. Does that make the application itself being the collateral? Is that what they're calling it? Is that what they're saying? The collateral security? And here you thinking that the car is the damn collateral, or whatever it is you applied for, the house, the car, people going through foreclosures, people getting their cars repoed, and you're thinking the car is the collateral, or the material object which loses value, I guess with respect to a car, is supposed to be the collateral. It loses value the longer you drive it, but it's still considered collateral, according to the deception that they tell you. Anyway, this is what I just read, Section 2 right here, and I stopped right here. The Federal Reserve agent shall each day notify the board of let me flip this. I'm trying to do too much shit at one time. Here we go. I'm just going to read this. The Federal Reserve agent shall each day notify the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System of all issues and withdrawals of the Federal Reserve notes to and by the Federal Reserve Bank to which he is accredited. The said Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System may at any time call upon a Federal Reserve Bank for additional security to protect the Federal Reserve notes issued to it. Collateral shall not be required for Federal Reserve notes. which are held in the vault, say in the vaults of, or otherwise held by or on behalf of the Federal Reserve banks. And I wanted to read that part because this is actually where it shows you where the applications itself that are being done. This is actually how they get the Federal Reserve. This is actually how they receive the Federal Reserve notes when you apply for some things. Now, I mentioned child support in the beginning of this video. Think about every application that's ever been filled out, and the name has to be put on the application. Social security numbers have to be put on the application. You know, all the information, identifying information, and then it has to be endorsed by whoever is filling it out. The banks are the only ones. The banks, the financial institutions are the only ones that can act on your behalf to go to the Federal Reserve Bank to cash those things in and to get money, to actually get I want to say money, the Federal Reserve notes, that being the dollars. You know, if you read on the dollar bill, it specifically says a Federal Reserve note. So that's what they get them. They get them by the applications that they turn in. When they present when they take your application and they go to the Federal Reserve, to one of the Federal Reserve banks, that's how they actually obtain the funding that you apply for. And then they use this deception, thinking that you borrowed money from, like as if you borrowed money from them, as if they gave you money. They gave you something, you paying them back for something you never even applied for. You see where I'm going with this, y'all? And the way this actually ties in with the power of attorney I've been talking about for the last few weeks too. Because I don't see anything about how you can actually hold these people accountable by correcting your status, as the people have been talking about, your secure party creditor status and all the different stuff that we've been hearing about for years. It's really changing how they see you. That also goes back to the SESTA KV Act of 1666. If they see you as deceased after so many years, 7 years being the base number, in some states it's different. I've said that repeatedly in my videos, in the past videos. You can go back and study that topic if you want to. You should anyway, just to get clarity as to what that act was all about. So they perceive you to be deceased, and here you are all your adult life, never knowing anything about it. You've been operating as a fictitious entity. You've been operating as someone who's missing. Your status is missing. There's no proof on the record as to who you are. So when they see you, when you do show up and there's no record to prove who you are, then they're going to operate with that springing power of attorney that your mother gave, that your mother consented to when you were first baby, when you were born, and it never got revoked. If it never got revoked, they're still operating on it. Nobody's ever revoked it. There's no power of attorney that's actually put in place that where you actually showing who you are, changing how they see you. And if they still see you as this fictitious entity, you're seen as a U.S. citizen, which is the all caps name, that's the fictitious version of you, so to speak. I'm going to pause this and I'm going to show y'all, I'm going to revisit the rebuttal of the presumption of debt. The presumption of debt. I'm going to show y'all, because I actually showed y'all rebuttable. Nice. Let me pause. Okay, this is Ohio. I'm in Georgia, but I thought I'd do Ohio because I talked to people in Ohio, so they can actually see this and they can type this in there. But you'll find this in all the states, okay? Except as provided in Provision B of this section, a presumption of death of a person arises upon either the following: when a person has disappeared and has been continuously absent from the first person's place of domicile for a 5-year period without being heard from during the period. It's 5 years in Ohio, as you see. It's 4 here in Georgia. In some states it's 7. The base number is actually 7. It started out with 7. Okay. Say when a person has disappeared and has been continuously absent from a person's place of last domicile without being heard from, and was the beginning of the person's They say, and at the beginning of the person's absence, exposed to a specific peril of death. That's like, say, like 9/11 is an example. Even though the absence has continued for less than 5-year period. So either you've been missing for 5 years, they haven't heard from you. There's nothing on the record to prove that you're still alive. After 5 years, so once you were 5 years old, that's also a status of being incompetent or incapacitation. And I'm gonna look that up and show y'all that again. Now, B. Say when a person who is active on active duty in the Army, in the armed services of the United States, has been officially determined to be absent in a status of missing. See, there's that word missing. Status of missing or missing in action. A presumption of death arises when the head of the federal department concerned has made a finding of death pursuant to the Federal Missing Persons Act, okay, as amended and hereafter amended. Okay, so these are the ways that's where the presumption of death kicks in. Either they haven't heard from you, or we had some type of peril, some kind of peril. Like I use 9/11 took place. They were looking for bodies during that time, and people that come up missing during that time and who lived in that area. And there may be a presumption of death if even if what I'm saying. And then right here in the armed forces, say you're missing in action. Say maybe a prisoner of war or something like that. Okay, but bottom line, though, if you haven't been in either no kind of peril or armed forces, then you would probably fit most likely in this area here, because none of us know to have anything on the record. We're not old enough to do that anyway. We're kids. We're babies. We don't know we don't know anything about this stuff. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you incapacitation. Again, incapacity. Well, capacity. Let's see, incapacity. That's what they call it. So y'all can see this for you a second. Incapacity is a term used across different areas of the legal landscape that reflects one's inability to perform various functions. That's you when you were a baby. And even when you're grown and you don't know what the hell to damn do, this is you, okay? Say common uses include a lack of physical or mental cognitive ability. That's your mental. You don't know what to do. This is you, okay? Even as an adult, this is us when we're adults and we don't have no knowledge of what to do. Even if you're in jail, you're locked up. That's a physical disability. You have a lack of physical ability to do anything about it. So you can be considered in a state of incapacity. Say that results in a person's inability to manage their own personal care, property, or finances. Okay? It says it. So everything that we've applied for, light bills, gas bill, water bill, rent, mortgage, car notes, everything we've ever applied for, those are your finances. All those have everything to do with your finances. I call those people down here where I pay my, what was that? What company was that I called? My internet service. And I called them. And just to kind of see what was going to happen. People didn't know, they had no clue about what these these remitting things are. They had no clue about what these are. They think you're supposed to take these things and you're supposed to just send them. You're supposed to just send these things, mail them in with your order, with your money or whatever. You're supposed to just mail them in. So this is what they're thinking. You're supposed to just mail them in with your money order, with your check, And I'm like, I've never used one of these all my adult life. And they still couldn't explain why I didn't have to use that in order to get the bill paid for that month. The thing is, you're abandoning these things. This is what you're supposed to be using. This is what chapter 16 is talking about. This is also a bill of exchange. Okay, this is a bill of exchange, and you're supposed to. I'm moving too fast. But bottom line is, you have to change how they see you first. They see you. Their presumption of death kicks in with all these companies you've applied for things with. So they're operating with that power of attorney. They're operating on your behalf. If you choose to not use these damn things, then they go ahead and they use them to their own benefit because they have power of attorney to do so. You don't know no better. So what they do, I don't know what they do with them. I can't speak on the mechanics of it because I don't work for none of these companies and I don't deal with these things. So I'll be jumping the gun trying to assume I know exactly what they do with them. But if you abandon them, I'm sure they don't leave them there. You know what I'm saying? If you decide to pay out of your pocket, you taking on the debt that you should be taking on. You know, we're not supposed to be borrowers at all. The scripture does not say anything about us being borrowers. Keep in mind, the Bible is the living word of God. We're supposed to be using that only applies to the living. The living, you shall lend and not borrow. I've showed y'all this video this one too many times. Matter of fact, I'm going to go back. I showed y'all that one before. I showed y'all Deuteronomy 15 and 6. I'm going to show y'all Deuteronomy 28 and 12. The Lord, which one of these do I want to read? Because I don't want to be reading this, thou art this, thou art, thou art. Okay, I'm going to read. I don't know what version it is. What is this? Let's see what it says. I don't know what version. Okay, the book list. Oh, okay, that's what this is supposed to be. This, oh shit. This right here is supposed to be this version right here. I don't know what that is. I've never read that version before. This the version right here, but I'm gonna read it anyway. The Lord will make thee abound with all goods. Say with the fruit of thy womb, and the fruit of thy cattle, with the fruit of thy land, which the Lord swore to thy father that he will give thee. There we go. This is what I'm going to read right here. The Lord will open his excellent treasure in heaven. I mean the heaven. That it may give rain in due season, and he will bless all the works of thy land of thy hands, and thou shalt lend to many nations and not borrow, and shall not borrow of anyone. Okay, this says this in this scripture as well as Deuteronomy 15:6, Deuteronomy 28 and 12. So I just thought and keep in mind and there was I forgot that thing that actually pointed out the Bible being implemented into the script into the law, where you can actually use the Bible itself. But the Bible only applies to the living; it doesn't apply to the dead. So if you operate as someone who's missing, incapacitated, you're operating as someone that's also the presumption of death. So this does not apply to you if you're operating as that. So when you rebut that presumption of death, then you actually that's how you're able to operate in this here properly. But you have to change how they see you. And that's where creating these records and this changing the attitude, changing how they see you. Each one of these entities, you should be doing this. Everybody should be doing this. And so this is exactly what I'm understanding about this. Powers of attorney gives you power of attorney over the estate, over your estate. And you can rebut their power of attorney so they're not doing these things and railroading you and not taking your stuff. And you're following the law. You're rebutting the presumption of death. You're identifying who you are with this power of attorney. Notice that you do anything with an affidavit. You know, keep in mind a power of attorney, actually, it has to be sworn. It has to be sworn or affirmed under penalty of perjury. You have to present who you are before a notary, which is one of the officers of the court. Okay, officer of the peace, if you will, and you present who you are, show identification. They say, okay, this is who this is. They appeared before me. They came, and people get caught up on words like appear on these paperwork, and then they stop doing stuff because they want to get caught up on the words when it comes to stuff like that. But you're showing who you are, and depending on how you word it, you're rebutting presumptions of death because a living man or woman is the only one can swear or affirm anything and testify. That's what an affidavit is. It's a testimony reduced to writing. Okay, you're testifying on paper. That's technically what this is. And you can only a living man or woman can do that. A legal fiction can't do that. No one dead can do that. So when you you come forth who you are, show who you are, you put these people on notice as to who you are and what the fact that I'm here now, and you correct. That is correct status. Okay, living status means more than anything. It ain't got nothing to do with black, white. It ain't got nothing to do with because you claiming to be Look here, I ain't trying to come out there. You want to change, you want to do this nationality walk, but this is commerce. This got nothing to do with your skin tone at all. Commerce ain't never had nothing to do with your skin tone. So you might want to, correct yourself on that. Go back and look at this stuff. It never said anything about nationality. Because it's all about life and death. So if you're concentrating on trying to correct the status change, and you want to. I'm a more this, I'm a more that, I'm this, I'm American, I'm a free national. That's cool if you want to do that. But understand that all you're doing is correcting the status of the name. That name, which is in all caps. Even the passport name is in all caps. This is all about commerce. It's all about commerce. All crimes are commercial. It's all about commerce. So when you prove that you are alive, that's where it's going to kill it all. Okay, I thought I was just sitting here reading this here, showing y'all this. Okay, but this is Social Security Administration right here. They're doing the same damn thing. Let's see. Evidence of a person's death. Evidence to presume a person is dead. If you cannot prove a person is dead, but evidence of death is needed, we will presume he or she died at a certain time if you gave us the following evidence. That's not what I'm talking about. Well, I'm going to read it anyway. A copy of a certified copy or extract from a official report or finding by an agency or Department of the United States that the person is missing is presumed to be dead as set forth in federal law 5 USC 5565. Unless we have other evidence showing an actual death, a date of death, we will use the date he or she was reported missing as the date of death. Say signed. Let me go by this. That 7-year period right here. This is what I was looking for right here. The 7/7/22. Let me just skip there. Rebuttal of presumption of death made based on 404.21b. That's probably what it was I was looking for. Can be rebutted by evidence that establishes that the person is still alive, or explains the individual's absence in a manner consistent with continued life rather than death. As you can see right there, this is what they're talking about. B right there, a signed statement by those in position to know the record, to know other records which show that the person has been absent from his or her absence from his residence and has not been heard from for at least 7 years. If the presumption of death is not rebutted pursuant to 44.722, which is where I just came from, we will use the person's date of death. We will use the person's date of death, either the date he or she left home, the date ending 7-year period, or some other date, depending upon the evidence shows is likely date of death. So just letting y'all know, all these companies do this shit. Every last one of them. All the companies do it. So you have to change how they see you. Change how they see you in order to be able to operate and stuff like this here. Because life, where you're supposed to be being the issue, or the one who's the lender and not the borrower, that applies to the living. People who are alive, not people operating as dead people. Somebody's operating as fictitious entities. You don't want to be operating as a fictitious entity. The United States, keep in mind, the United States citizen is that name in all caps. That is the estate. You're supposed to control that. You're not supposed to be that. You're supposed to control it. So once you take control of it, then you can actually operate in these things right here, in these remittance, these bills of exchange. You can operate in that, and that's how you got to create your records. So I'm gonna get on off here. I'm almost 30 minutes in this video. I wasn't intending for it to be that long, but hell, I haven't recorded in a few days, so y'all about needed some more good stuff from me anyway. So hopefully this helped y'all out, help y'all to understand where this is going. This Federal Reserve thing, this is really coming together. So y'all should go back and read that. That's Federal Reserve Act, Section 16, Part 1 and Part 2. So when you see that one, once you get there and you read that and you study it, keep on studying it, y'all. Keep reading over it and study it. If you run across something on you that you don't get, just pause it, go open up a new screen and look it up. Look up what you found that you didn't understand, so you can get clarity on this stuff. And I'll see y'all in the next video. If you haven't liked and subscribed already, hit that notification bell. Go ahead and do that now. And y'all help me out with the algorithm. And I'm going to get on off of here and see y'all in the next video. Emerald, signing out.